The mist never lifts over the forests of 16th century Hungary. The wind moans through the trees like 1,000 lost souls. And somewhere in the heart of this land, a castle rises, cold, immense, and unwelcoming. Within its stone walls lived a woman whose name would echo through history with terror. Her beauty was striking, her cruelty unimaginable. She was Elizabeth Báthory. Born into power and privilege in 1560, Elizabeth's life was gilded with riches, yet shadowed by darkness. Her father, a man feared in battle, ruled with an iron hand, and her family's influence stretched across the land. Stories of cruelty and violence were a part of daily life, whispered in the halls and repeated in the villages, warning all who lived under their reach. It was in this world that Elizabeth grew, learning early that fear could be a weapon and cruelty a form of control. At 15, she married Ferenc Nadasdy, known to his enemies as the Black Knight. Together they were a formidable force. Soldiers obeyed without question. Villagers trembled at the sight of them. But it was after Ferenc's death, when Elizabeth became the sole ruler of her estates, that the shadows of horror began to deepen. The first rumors were whispers, hushed and fleeting. Young girls disappeared from nearby villages. Servants investigated. Doors that were never locked could not be opened, as if the castle itself conspired to conceal something unspeakable. Some said Elizabeth bathed in the blood of virgins, believing it would preserve her youth. Others told of cruel experiments designed to break the minds and bodies of the innocent. Those who dared resist her authority were punished without mercy, often in ways that left no trace, only horror. Fear was the language of her household. Terror was her signature. One servant's voice breaks through the centuries. I remember the nights when the girls would scream. I would hide behind the tapestries, praying she would not notice me. I saw the Countess watching from her balcony, her eyes cold and calculating, as if the suffering of others was her pleasure. The castle became a labyrinth of nightmares. Secret chambers were discovered years later, filled with the tools of torment, instruments carved for pain, rooms designed to echo screams endlessly. Some say the air itself seemed heavy with the memory of those cries. Hundreds may have died. The exact number is unknown. Records are incomplete, and legend has sewn itself into the fabric of truth. By 1610, the rumors could no longer be contained. Villagers, driven by terror and desperation, carried their pleas to King Matthias II. Investigators entered the castle under the cover of night. They found secret rooms, hidden passages, and evidence of horrors that defied imagination. Yet Elizabeth, unrepentant, remained defiant. She could not be humbled by the weight of her deeds, only trapped by the walls of her own fortress. She was imprisoned, her windows bricked, the servants who survived executed or condemned to lifelong captivity. Elizabeth Báthory would spend the remainder of her life in isolation, confined within the very stones she once commanded, a prisoner of her own legend. And yet, the story does not end there. Over the centuries, tales of the Blood Countess have grown, twisted by fear, obsession, and the fascination with evil. Some say she was a victim of conspiracy, a noblewoman accused to strip her wealth. Others claim the accounts of her crimes were exaggerated, fueled by hysteria and gossip. But one truth endures. The terror she inspired is undeniable. What drove her to such darkness? Vanity, perhaps. Sadism. The intoxicating power of nobility unrestrained by conscience. Scholars debate, but the victims' voices linger, whispers from the past that refuse to be silenced. She watched us as we trembled, and I knew in that moment she did not see us as people. We were toys, playthings for her amusement, shadows to be discarded. Her legacy has shaped legends of horror ever since. Vampire tales, dark fairy tales, and countless books and films carry her name. A name that reminds us that evil does not always wear monstrous faces. Sometimes it wears beauty. Sometimes it wears nobility. Centuries have passed, yet the blood-stained halls of her mind remain vivid in our stories. Elizabeth Báthory, the Blood Countess, was both woman and monster, aristocrat and terror incarnate. Her story warns us that unchecked power, when coupled with cruelty, can create nightmares more terrifying than any legend. Even now, as the mist rolls over the forests of Hungary, some say the air carries whispers of her deeds. Some say her spirit roams the ruins, forever seeking the innocence she once destroyed. And so her tale continues to haunt us, a chilling reminder that some truths are darker than any story we dare to imagine. Elizabeth Báthory, a woman of noble birth, a figure of horrifying legend, a reminder that power without conscience can become the most terrifying force of all. Some legends are born of truth, and some truths are more horrifying than legend itself.